In the final missions of Wings of Liberty, Raynor allies with the Dominion and goes to Char. Even if in the previous mission he caused a huge revolt against Mengsk, and the Dominion is still dealing with the fallout from this. Perhaps Blizzard shouldn't have allowed the player to play these missions in any order. The player is also given no reason why Raynor doesn't just give the artifacts to Valarian, then let the Dominion and the Zerg wipe each other out, or why he doesn't enlist the help of his allies the Protoss, who have several weapons designed to eradicate planets infested with Zerg. Another weird thing is that no one bothers to test the artifact before going to Char, even though it could easily be tested on one of the several planets infested with Zerg. So Valarian is risking a huge number of soldiers' lives on something that may not even work. So these missions begin with Warfield being mildly hostile to Raynor, even if Raynor humiliated him by invading Korhal and defeating his forces. You'd think Warfield would be more annoyed about this. Afterwards, Mengsk asks Valarian why Valarian has taken half the fleet. Valarian responds by claiming that he's going to prove he's a worthy successor by defeating Kerrigan. Mengsk starts telling him why this is a bad idea when Raynor butts in and lets Mengsk know he's on board. Mengsk then doesn't immediately order his soldiers to arrest or execute Raynor, even if Raynor has caused widespread rioting during the Media Blitz mission. Nor does Mengsk order his fleet to come back, even though he has no idea whether Valarian's plan will even work. Also, Mengsk mentions that Kerrigan can't be saved, so either he knows that the magical artifact can de-infest Kerrigan, or he thinks that Raynor will try to save the infested Kerrigan. Either way, it's odd that Mengsk would assume that Raynor is joining the attack on Char simply to save Kerrigan. It's possible that Tychus told Mengsk that the artifact can uninfest Kerrigan, but this raises several further problems, such as why didn't he tell Mengsk that Raynor and Valarian had formed an alliance, or that Valarian was planning to invade Char. It's quite clear from Mengsk's dialogue that he didn't know about Valarian's plan or that Raynor was involved. Final Mission 1, Gates of Hell. So this mission begins with the assault on Char, which Warfield has somehow managed to screw up, even though he's led 5 separate attacks against the Zerg. So it's up to Raynor to fix everything, because in Blizzard's games only the protagonist can be competent. The first thing you need to do is build up an army of 100 soldiers. After accomplishing this, Warfield then crashes his ship and needs to be rescued. The same way Duke needed to be rescued on Antigua Prime in Starcraft 1. So I guess Blizzard couldn't think up anything original. After defeating the Nidus worms, you get a cutscene where Warfield decides that the best way to survive a Zerg attack is to have his visor open, which makes him more vulnerable to Zerg projectiles and an atmosphere that will burn a man alive. You then get several one-liners from Tychus and Raynor, who decide to rescue Warfield without any other ground support, followed by a salute to the Air Force, which should have led the attack rather than supported it. Warfield then praises Raynor for helping save Dominion soldiers, while ignoring that Raynor has been killing Dominion soldiers for 4 years during his attacks on the Dominion. Seriously, did Blizzard forget what happened in all the missions prior to this one? Final Mission 2. Due to his injuries, Warfield hands over all control of the Dominion soldiers to Raynor, someone who has spent 4 years attacking the Dominion. Does Warfield not have any other subordinates? You're then given a choice between 2 missions by Warfield and Tychus, because for some reason the Dominion doesn't have any other officers or intelligence agents. Maybe this is why Raynor has always been able to defeat the Dominion's armies with his smaller army. Tychus wants to take out the Nidus networks, and Raynor is somehow able to determine that placing charges in the right place will flood the whole Nidus network with lava. This comment should have been made by someone who has analysed Char rather than just having Raynor conveniently knowing it. Warfield, on the other hand, wants to weaken the Zerg's air force by taking out an infested platform. Of all the choices between 2 missions, this one is the best because it doesn't have an obvious right or wrong choice, and is instead dependent on how the player wants to play the final mission. The only oddity is why there isn't time for both, since you have an entire army. Therefore, you should be able to do both at the same time, especially when one involves a small army and the other involves a team of 4 people. Final Mission 2. Belly of the Beast. Though Warfield offers to give Raynor some of his best soldiers for this mission, Raynor instead chooses 2 people with no military experience who are somehow able to stand on the surface of Char without any protective clothing, even though it has an atmosphere that will burn a man alive. For those wondering why Swan and Stepman only appear for this mission, According to the conversation data, Raynor was meant to return to the Hyperion after the first and second missions on Char, and while on the Hyperion he could talk with his crew. However, Blizzard later changed this so you could only talk to Tychus and Warfield. But since they didn't rewrite this mission, Swan and Stepman effectively appear for no reason and then disappear. So Raynor, Tychus, Swan and Stepman go into the tunnels. For some reason, Raynor, Tychus and Swan each have a unique weapon, which no one ever thinks about mass producing and giving to the infantry, even though this would make it easier to fight the Zerg. Also, once this mission ends, these weapons are never mentioned again. For those wondering about Stepman, he doesn't have a weapon but can heal you like a medic. For some reason, the charges aren't armed immediately, so you have to defend them from Zerg attacks, then run away before they explode. You'd think they would have built the charges to explode if the Zerg attacked them, so they wouldn't need to keep defending them. At the last charge point, you have to fight a giant Zerg queen before you can detonate the charge, even though the resulting lava flowing from blowing up this charge would kill her and all nearby Zerg. You then just have to escape the lava to complete this mission. Final Mission 2. Shatter the Sky. In this mission, Raynor realises the obvious weakness in the platform that Warfield somehow missed. Warfield then proceeds to shamelessly praise Raynor for stating the obvious. They also don't try to nuke this part of the platform from orbit, even though they were talking about nuking this platform a few minutes ago. You then build up your forces and attack the cooling towers, causing the nearby reactors to blow up and destroy nearby Zerg. After 2 reactors are destroyed, a Leviathan appears which flies around not really doing anything. Once all the reactors are destroyed, the platform is also destroyed and the mission ends. After you complete either mission, you get a cheesy cutscene that's meant to make you care about the nameless soldiers you know nothing about, even though several missions involve killing large numbers of Dominion soldiers. However, since these soldiers are considered disposable in every other mission, this scene fails to have any emotional impact. Warfield then appears with his new robotic arm and the Zelnaga artefact. Warfield then says that he hopes this artefact does what everyone thinks it does because evidently no one decided to test it before invading Char, even though they're relying on it to save them. Just one more example of how Blizzard can't write a story that contains people who aren't completely retarded. Then Raynor makes a dramatic speech to the dog tag he's just found because Blizzard has no idea how to make people look heroic. Final Mission 3. All In. Before you start this mission, you find that the reporter Donny Vermillion has been committed to a mental institution, even though he seemed fine in the previous mission. I always assumed that Donny was misrepresenting the facts because Mengsk is meant to be controlling the media, but it seems that Blizzard instead decided that Donny is actually supporting Mengsk because he was insane. So it seems Blizzard can't make up their mind whether Mengsk is a dictator who controls the media, or whether the Dominion has a free press. It's also odd that Kate Lockwell was promoted to chief anchor given that Mengsk is supposed to be sending anyone who ever criticised him to New Folsom. You can also talk to Warfield, who again shamelessly praises Raynor and assumes that because Raynor is helping his soldiers fight that this means Raynor is one of the good guys. I guess Warfield just forgot about all the Dominion soldiers Raynor has killed, or the time Raynor humiliated him on Korhal. After starting this mission, you learn that you have to charge up the artefact. Pity no one thought of doing this before you brought it to the primary hive cluster, so that it could be instantly used against Kerrigan. You also learn that the artefact emits an energy nova which can destroy nearby Zerg. Pity no one thought to use that to stop the Zerg attacking the Dominion ships when they are flying to Char. Seriously, why didn't they test the artefact and figure out how best to use it before getting to Char? This would have saved thousands of soldiers' lives. It seems that Blizzard decided that the artefact would make the Char missions too easy, so they made everyone forget about it until the final mission, rather than come up with a real reason why they couldn't use it. So you had to protect the artefact for 30 minutes while it charges up. During this time, Kerrigan repeatedly tells you that she's going to kill you. Then a red-headed Nova appears and says, "Don't give up." It seems that making a unique portrait for Kerrigan was too much work, so Blizzard just modified Nova's portrait instead. It's odd that Blizzard didn't want to make a unique portrait for human Kerrigan, because some of the obsolete dialogue indicates that every time Kerrigan attacked you, the Overmind would narrate, Zerg Kerrigan would threaten you, and human Kerrigan would plead with you. At the end of this mission you activate the artefact which eradicates all nearby Zerg. Good thing that this untested artefact didn't blow up the whole planet or blow all the Terrans into space. After exploring a Zerg building, that for some reason wasn't vaporized by the artefact, you come across Kerrigan, who's nude but otherwise unharmed by the artefact that burns Zerg to ashes. Tychus then reveals that he's working for Mengsk, something that won't shock anyone because this was mentioned at the start of Wings of Liberty. If this was meant to be a big reveal, then Blizzard shouldn't have revealed this at the start of the game. Also, what exactly was Mengsk's plan? It can't be to have Tychus spy on Raynor because Tychus didn't tell Mengsk about Raynor's planned assault on Korhal. It can't be to encourage Raynor to join the Dominion and attack Char because Mengsk tried to talk Valarian out of this assault and was unaware that Valarian and Raynor had formed an alliance. Though Tychus does try to convince Raynor to kill Kerrigan, he's unsuccessful, as Raynor has been retconned to never want to kill Kerrigan. For some reason, Tychus is reluctant to shoot Kerrigan even though he's never met her, has no reason to leave her alive, and has been shown to enjoy death and destruction. Tychus then fires at Kerrigan, Raynor blocks the bullet, then shoots Tychus in the face because Tychus kept opening his visor, even though this leaves him vulnerable to being shot in the face. During this whole scene I couldn't help wonder what happened to the other 3 Marines that were with Raynor and Tychus. Why aren't they shooting Raynor or Kerrigan? Did they get lost somehow? You then see Raynor carrying Kerrigan to somewhere, even though Char has an atmosphere that will burn a man alive, and it should be burning Kerrigan to death. So Blizzard, why did Raynor decide not to kill Kerrigan even though she killed 8 billion people? She killed billions during her attacks on the Dominion, and in Brood Wars he said he was going to kill her. It can't be because of the prophecy, because the same thing happens even if you don't complete these missions. Looks like Blizzard decided to retcon Raynor's feelings for Kerrigan so that they could turn Starcraft into a love story, and ensure Kerrigan could still be the main character in the next game. Also, where's the rest of the Dominion military? Did they just send 5 people to look for Kerrigan while everyone else just went home? It's like Blizzard just decided that this was how the story was going to end and ignored everything wrong with this ending. So overall the ending makes no sense without a huge amount of retcons and irrational decisions by everyone. But given that Wings of Liberty was full of retcons, poor decisions and plot holes, it's no surprise that the ending is equally bad. Conclusion. While the final missions on Char are fun to play, from a story perspective they're terrible. Raynor has no reason to be on Char. No, a retcon love story is not a good reason to risk the lives of his crew. The Dominion has no reason to ally with Raynor, especially if he causes riots throughout the Dominion in Media Blitz. Warfield is a completely useless general who then hands over all authority to Raynor, someone who has spent the last 4 years attacking the Dominion. Even though several missions were dedicated to getting the artefact, no one thinks to use it until the final mission. Mengsk's whole plan of having Tychus get close to Raynor in case this somehow allows him to get close to an uninfested Kerrigan was just ridiculous, considering he could have used anyone in the Dominion army to kill Kerrigan after she was uninfested. And after Raynor rescues Kerrigan, the whole Dominion army for some reason disappears so that he can just carry her to safety. So Wings of Liberty has a contrived ending designed to depower Kerrigan but keep her alive so she can be the star of the next game. In other words, Blizzard ruined the ending of this game in order to set up the premise for the next game.